You've cut the calories, you've done all the cardio, you've been consistent for months, maybe even years, and that belly fat that you have is just not going away. Maybe it is slightly shifting around, gaining some, losing some, but it's never fully going away. And you're starting to wonder, is it my genetics? Is it never going to go away? Or maybe you need to eat even less, cut even more calories, do less cardio, push yourself even further. Now, that exact way of thinking right there is what is going to keep you stuck. The belly fat that you cannot shift is not a calorie problem, it is a cortisol problem, a hormonal problem, a stress hormone problem. And until you understand that, you can diet, you can do the cardio, you can push yourself as hard as you want, but that gut is not going to end up going anywhere. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how cortisol creates and locks in belly fat, why everything that you've been told to do about it is just making it worse, and what you actually need to do to get your body out of that survival mode state and start shredding off that weight, shredding off that body fat for real. Now, this one is actually going to completely change the way you think about your body, the way you think about your belly fat overall. Now, first things first, what exactly is cortisol? Cortisol is your primary stress response hormone. When something threatening is happening to you, like you're being chased by a lion, you're in some sort of danger, your cortisol will have a spike reaction. It releases a stored energy. It sharpens your focus. It prepares your body to fight or to run. And that is a very good thing, but only in a short term time frame. The problem is that your body cannot tell the difference between if you're being chased by a lion versus if you're stuck in traffic, scrolling through social media at night, getting only a few hours of sleep, overtraining completely, or just hating your job. To your nervous system, all of that stress is the exact same signal. And when that signal never turns off, when you are in a low grade stress mode 24/7 every single day, your cortisol will never come back down. It will just stay elevated. And that chronic elevation does one very specific thing to your body, to your cortisol, that no amount of dieting, no amount of cardio or consistency is ever able to do on its own. It tells your body to store fat specifically around your stomach. And no, this is not at all a theory. Visceral fat, the deep belly fat that sits around your organs, has more cortisol receptors than any fat anywhere else on your body. Your gut is literally a target for your stress hormones. So every time you stress about not losing that belly fat, you are just making yourself fatter. That is the trap that most men end up falling in. Now, here's where people don't quite understand it, because most of the things that are keeping your cortisol high are not the obvious life stresses, although those do matter too, obviously. They're the things that you're doing on purpose because you think that they are helping you. Now, number one, we have chronic cardio, long, steady state cardio, like on a treadmill, on an elliptical. Cycling for an hour plus is one of the most consistent cortisol drivers that there ever is. You've been told that this cardio is just going to shred your fat, and it does burn calories in the moment, obviously, but extended cardio sessions keep your cortisol at elevated levels for hours and hours after you even finish. You are training your body to be in a stress state. Now, just imagine what doing that every single day is doing to your cortisol baseline. It is just going higher and higher. And meanwhile, your testosterone is then dropping, your recovery is suffering, and you're holding on to that fat as a survival mechanism. Now, number two is under eating or any type of aggressive calorie restriction. When you aggressively restrict calories from your body, your cortisol will then be signaled to go up. Your metabolism will adapt downwards, and your body will break down muscle for fuel and hoard on to fat, especially your belly fat, because that is your body's emergency energy reserve. You're not in a calorie deficit, you're in a survival state. And in a survival state, your body will do everything that it can to keep that fat on. This is exactly why calorie restriction almost never actually works long term. It does not address the hormonal environment going on in your body. It just worsens it. Now, number three is poor sleep. Your cortisol, it follows a natural daily rhythm. It is supposed to be at its highest in the morning. That is what wakes you up and gets you going in the morning, and lowest at night. When your sleep is poor or you're just cutting your sleep short, that rhythm is going to break down. Your cortisol will then stay elevated at night when it should be dropping. And this will tank your testosterone. This will tank your growth hormone, and this will just turn off your fat burning. 6 hours is not at all enough. Grinding on less than 7 hours of sleep and expecting your body to lean out is like trying to run a car with no oil. Something is bound to break. Now, number four is caffeine and any type of stimulant overuse. Now, I'm not telling you to never drink coffee again. I drink coffee myself, but if you're hitting 2, 3, 4, or even more cups every single day, especially afternoon, you are artificially extending your cortisol curve deep into that evening, deep into later that day. And your nervous system will never then get to wind down. Your sleep will suffer and your cortisol will stay up into this horrible cycle. Now, number five is training volume. More training is not always the answer. More training does not always mean better. If you're in the gym 5 to 6 or even 7 days a week and you're not sleeping enough, you're not eating enough, you are just accumulating a stress debt that your body is then going to pay for by elevating your cortisol and holding on to that stubborn body fat. Keep in mind that training is a stress. Recovery is where you adapt. And not recovering means you are not adapting. So that is just more cortisol. Okay, so let me just explain quickly why belly fat is the specific target, because understanding this just makes everything kind of make more sense. It just makes everything click. Now, your body has different types of fat tissue. The fat that is under your skin and the fat that is deep inside around your organs. Visceral fat. Visceral fat is the dangerous kind. It is the hard, firm gut, the kind that just sits there on your body solid. And visceral fat has a much higher density of cortisol receptors than that fat that is sitting right beneath your skin. And what this means practically is that when your cortisol is chronically elevated, your body is just getting a constant signal to deposit and retain fat in that specific location. And on top of that, chronically elevated cortisol just suppresses your testosterone, which is absolutely terrible. Low testosterone just means your body is going to lose its ability to stay lean, to build muscle, and to normally distribute your fat. So you end up just kind of getting hit from both sides with more cortisol pushing fat in, less testosterone than pulling it out. And the thing is that visceral fat itself produces inflammatory signals that then raise your cortisol even further. So the more of it you have, the more cortisol that you make and the more fat you store. So it is just a self-reinforcing loop, a cycle that people end up falling into. And the only way to break this loop and to break this cortisol cycle is not to eat less, not to do more cardio, not to push yourself even further, not to try to stay more consistent, to lower the stress load on your body. All right, so back to the slides. What exactly do you have to eat for your cortisol? If I had to tell you one singular thing, eat enough, eat fat, and eat real food. The one single most powerful dietary signal that you can safely send to your body is real food, and specifically real fat. Fat does not raise your cortisol. Fat does not spike your insulin. Fat provides a stable, long duration of energy that just keeps your nervous system calm and your hormones then support. Foods like red meat, eggs, butter, and just animal fats in general, these are the foods that support healthy cortisol rhythms. They support your testosterone, and they just keep you satiated without your blood sugar going all over the place that those processed foods and that high carb eating then create. And your blood sugar just going all over the place actually matters a lot more than you think. Every time your blood sugar crashes after a high carb meal, after a sugary snack, after skipping meals throughout the day, your cortisol is released to bring it back up. And if you're eating processed food all day, we're triggering cortisol responses every few hours just from your diet. And stack that on top of your life stress and your training stress, and you have a chronic cortisol problem, mainly driven by your diet. So obviously cut out the seed oils, the canola, the sunflower, the vegetable oil. These drive systematic inflammation. And inflammation and cortisol go hand in hand with each other. Every meal cooked in seed oil is a small inflammatory hit that keeps your stress hormones elevated. And don't skip meals when your body is already under stress. Intermittent fasting can definitely be very good, but if you're sleeping poorly, you're overtraining and living in a high stress lifestyle all the time, skipping breakfast is going to add a fasting stress on top of everything else going on. So read your body, eat whole foods, prioritize real nutrient dense fats, give your cortisol curve something to actually work. Now, training in general needs to be another cortisol tool, not just another cortisol source. First of all, ditch the long cardio sessions. I know that's the opposite of what every single trainer and every single diet app has ever told you. But if chronic cardio is driving cortisol, chronic cardio is also driving your belly fat, and you cannot outrun that hormone. Replace it with short, intense resistance training like sprinting and heavy compound lifts in the gym, staying focused, staying under 60 minutes. This type of training creates a sharp cortisol spike that comes up fast but then drops down very quickly as well. That is very healthy, and that is exactly what you want. That's the acute stress response that your body is designed for. It does not leave you chronically elevated in any type of way. And after a heavy session, your body produces testosterone, produces growth hormone to then repair and adapt. That is the hormonal environment that burns fat and will build muscle. That is exactly what you want. So 3 to 4, maybe even 5 sessions every single week. And then you recover, you eat, you sleep, and you just let your body do the work naturally. And of course, add walking. Low intensity walking, especially outside, ideally in natural light, is one of the most underrated cortisol lowering tools that is available to you. And it calms your nervous system. Getting at least 10K steps every single day is not cardio, it is recovery. It is a stress management tool. And it is one of the best things that you can do for your body composition when cortisol is a major problem. Now, these are some things that just so many men tend to ignore. Diet and training are obviously the foundation. But if you're sleeping for 6 hours, grinding all day, never switching off, and living in a constant state of urgency, your cortisol is going to stay high no matter how clean you eat, no matter how perfect you do anything. These aren't just small suggestions, these are just the psychological truth. Now, first, sleep is the master level. 7 to 9 hours in bed before 11, dark, cool room, no screens, no blue light destroying your eyes. This is when your cortisol resets. This is when your testosterone gets produced naturally. This is when fat burning actually happens at a hormonal level. If you're cutting sleep to get more done, you are robbing yourself of the one thing that makes everything else actually work. And sunlight in the morning is so important, so much more important than people actually realize. Get outside within 30 minutes of waking up every single morning. Natural light will be the anchor that your cortisol curve needs. It should peak in the morning and then naturally decline throughout the day. Without that morning light signal, your rhythm is off and your cortisol stays elevated at the wrong times. Next is learning how to actually decompress. Sitting on your phone scrolling all day after a hard day is not at all a type of recovery. Your nervous system is still activated. Real decompression is walking in nature, spending time in nature overall, reading, doing breath work, maybe even doing some type of cold exposure, depending on how you use it. Spending time with people that you actually like, spending time with friends, spending time with family, and just find what genuinely switches you off and protect that time. Next is limiting alcohol. Alcohol will disrupt your sleep, raise your cortisol, tank your testosterone, and just drive your body's inflammation. Drinking is not at all a type of way to manage your stress. It is going to completely work against your hormonal health and destroy your gut. Now, if you've been dieting, doing the cardio, staying consistent, and that belly fat is just not moving no matter what you do, your body is not broken in any type of way. You are most likely not too lazy. You are not hormonally stuck in any type of way. And what you have been told that actually fixes it is what is keeping that belly fat on. Cortisol is the problem, but managing your stress is the solution. Eat enough real food, high fat, and animal foods. Ditch the seed oils and the obsession over calories. Train hard, but train smart. Heavy compound lifts, shorter sessions, real recovery, sleep like it is one of the most important things that you can do. Walk, get sunlight, and just learn to actually decompress. Now, if you're looking to get some serious results, you can book a free call with me that is linked in my bio. We'll see if you're a good fit for my one to one program. But that is all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching.